There's a lot of confusion in the healthcare industry. It is an industry. It is a moneymaker. It does like money, the health industry. We've made it into something that it's not. It's not really healthcare, it's disease care. It's disease management. The interest of getting healthier is not taught in medical schools. What's taught in medical schools is disease. Well, that's okay. We need to understand disease. We need to understand, the process of disease, but why all this emphasis on disease? Why not emphasis on health? If we want to be a healthy nation, we got to focus on health. We got to focus on how to make ourselves healthier. No doctor's going to make you healthier. Only your choices are going to make you healthier by changing your habits. When you change your habits, you start to integrate better with laws and principles of truth that are infallible. They're indestructible. They're consistently in and available in the etheric energy, or the energy of a vibration that's higher than the self, and it's the unified field that we can tune into by discovering ourselves better. Health is not health according to medicine. Health is disease according to medicine, but we've been shadowed by this idea that we're going to get a blood test to see how healthy we are, or we go and get this test, and so many cases of people getting a perfect blood test and the next week dying. I've heard the story over and over and over. So it's like a false premise sometimes, but it's a good calculation or a measure of the quality of what's circulating in the blood, a blood test. We got to go beyond that, and we got to get better than that. We got to be able to understand ourselves as we relate to God or spirit or this higher energy that flows through us. Before the last couple hundred years, when medicine, our so quote unquote real medicine, was established, but way before that, medicine was already here. They were already doing cranial operations they find in Peru and China and all these different places, these skulls that were previously dissected and opened up for brain injuries and whatnot. This stuff's already known by the ancients. The ancients weren't stupid, they were brilliant. And so these newer techniques that we integrate with technology, they're good, but they're not biology. Technology is not biology. Biology is biology. Technology is a source that gives information and a mild infrastructure of a mechanical presentation for the human being. But if you get too absorbed in it, you don't get health. You get disease. Once again, you get an addiction to the machine. And we want addiction to biology, which is health. That's better health. Addiction to the machine, it creates anxiety, loss of sleep, tension, headaches, no energy, no motivation. It just causes a lot of disruption. So a long time ago, which is still available today, the elements are earth, water, fire, air, and sound. Those are the 5 elements. Well, 200 years ago, this all changed, 200 plus, and it became about chemicals, about the soil, what's in the soil of our body. And in the soil of our body, I can pick this up and I can go, wow, this is where science is brilliant, and go, wow, we got carbon in here. We got a little bit of potash. We've got some calcium carbonate in here in that shell there. We get all kinds of things, right? Same in our body. So science went and dissected all of it and said, hey, what's the specifics here? But we're getting a little bit too specific. We're getting a little bit overkill with the specificity because of the machines. This is causing people to get analistic, or too constricted in their thoughts. That's why they get so much tension and nervousness in a modern world. We want to get out of that. We want to create health. So we want to be able to use these technologies for, sure, some advancement, but more of a tool to help us to relate to life, not to get absorbed into it. So now the elements in the West are hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, carbon, selenium, potassium, sodium, all of these. These are elements. Those elements are in the soil. They're all over the place. When the body gets out or imbalance from these, well, sickness happens, illness happens. So that's why they do the blood test. Where does the blood get its information from? It gets it from the tissue. It actually literally steals from the tissue. Hair tests are good for this. Medicine doesn't teach about hair tests, but I've tried to introduce it to several medical doctors, but they read it like it's a blood test, and I tell them, no, doctor, that's not how this reads. And I have to inform them, but they can't wrap their brain around it because they were trained, if this is low, give it. If this is high, don't give it. That's not how the tissue test works, hair tissue test. So the element of surprise and the element of change that happens in life is, how do you adapt to your environment in life each day? If you're numbed out, you're not healthy. If you're tense, you're not healthy. If you're over serious, you're not healthy. If you're lazy, couch potato, you're not healthy. There's something that is needed by each person that each person has a talent at, that's within them in their creative life force, that they want to give life, they want to give others. That's health. That's an idea of health. When a person has those things, that person feels like they're a part of life and they're giving to life. And they feel good because they can give something. They can give something from God or spirit to life itself. Elements, we were taught that they are the foundation. But are they? Are they the foundation? Well, they are the matter, M-A-T-T-E-R, medium is what they are. And pathogenesis or pathology is an imbalance of some of those elements. And those elements in the biology serve as a physical basis of health. So you have a seed, you plant the seed. The seed gets water and warmth from the sun and water. It germinates, it roots. Well, that's the same in the body. Sperm met the ovum. They go together. They got a nice aqueous form inside mommy's belly. The warmth of mommy's heart builds the energy inside that new embryo, building life. Well, the same thing happens in a plant. The same thing happens with you and me on a daily basis, where we got to root ideas. Well, what feeds those roots are elements, the elements in the soil. So nutrition is the key factor for health, the foundation. If you do not have the proper roots, or proper elements, you cannot root. If you look at a plant and you starve it from calcium and have the other ones that have calcium, you'll see a total difference in how they grow. Roots are important with elements, proper elements. So many people are walking around with deficiencies in their roots or in their soil or in their body. And nutrition is the key to change that. Our medical system has 40 hours of nutrition, and it's not on health, it's on pathology. I went to medical school. I don't practice it, but I did go. And I found out they don't study health at all. They study disease. So when we call ourselves health practitioners, it's kind of a little bit off. We should say disease practitioners. If you want to go to a health practitioner, there's different types of doctors that do that. And we have to get off the edge of when the medical doctor says there's nothing we can do. Well, that medical doctor did not study alternative, what they call alternative medicines, because there's a lot of them. And they were here way before modern medicine was, way before. So we need to integrate all this. We need to, in the hospitals have more modalities that help people. In the clinics, more modalities. But really, we need to increase that to how do you change yourself, because that's the key to health. And periodically, the seasons change. 4 seasons, some cultures have 5 seasons. But in those 4 seasons, events happen. We're in autumn right now. The leaves are falling down, they're coloring, they're getting different forms and focus. And as they do that, the human biology does the same thing. And if you don't let go of your leaves or you don't let go of your foliage, then you're got a shield around yourself that causes you not to get in your soil as good, be rooted as good, be prepared for winter, which is the resting state. So as we operate ourselves through the seasons better, we start to use the inclination of nature to the human body rather than synthetic chemicals to the human body. These seeds, if we leave them here and it rains, they will root. When they root, they're attracted to the soil, the different elements in the soil. When that happens, they get roots on them and they descend and they go into the earth. When this happens, then the sunlight, as it gets more, it starts to attract this stem. And then there becomes a new relationship between the stem and the sun and the seasons. So rooting and soil is the key to life within oneself. Nutrition is what does that. Getting the foliage. Autumn is here. The fall is here. Normally in the summer, these are these color. These are darker purple. But look, now they're drying out. They're drying out because there's constriction in the air and the sun is getting less. So these all constrict. When they constrict, they go through dehydration. This one's totally dehydrated. You can see here it's ready to come off because it's so dehydrated. That's what happens in autumn. That's what happens in the body too. The lungs and the large intestines are the organs for autumn. So they control dryness in the body. So what happens is the breath of the plant through with the space, because the constriction of the air and the light of the sun changes, it starts to go in a breakdown process. And that breakdown process you're seeing here, and you'll see different stages of it in one little plant. And in the winter, as we look here, this is more of the winter stage. And then these will fall off and this will be barren. And that's how our bodies operate the same way. I mean, this is how the ancients figured it out. They weren't dummies. They listened to what was here before and they applied it to the self. They were brilliant. They were like, let's get in harmony with life. Let's get in harmony with ourselves to what's already here for what the Creator made. And so that's what creates health, not some synthetic pill. We need the synthetic pill sometimes when there's an emergency or something like that. But to build health, yeah, that's not the way to build health. Yeah, here's the winter. I love those colors, those like beige with the light hits it. And look at, see here, those are late fall. This is an example of late fall. You see, there's no more color. They're all turning brown. They're turning beige. And as they're turning that color, you see they're totally dried out. See? But look at here. This still has moisture in it, see? It's not drying out. Drugs, which we need sometimes, they dry the body out faster. They make it drier quicker. So we want to use them as the last choice if we're thinking of health. This part of this bush is in late fall going into winter. And when it's in winter, all these seeds, are back in the soil, and the ones that ferment, or not ferment, but that roots, they end up becoming a new bush. And that's what happens in the same process over and over and over. And we are the ones that make the changes between ourselves and the earth. So if we're going to become too synthetic and too machine-like, wow, that doesn't help the earth. That's not helping the energetics of the earth. We need to be very honorable to the earth and very honorable to what we're doing to ourselves, better and better, to create a new earth, to create a new life, to create newness on this place. Newness, the greatest newness is God. The greatest newness is life force that comes through us. That's the real new.